Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a Christmas arrangement for a cake. One of my followers messaged me the other day and was looking for ideas. So seeing as it's nearly on top of us, I thought it was about time that we did something for Christmas, because you all need time to do it. You can't do it overnight. So I'll take you down to my board now. So the cutters that I'm using today are, I've got here some mistletoe cutters, leaf cutters. So you've got a set there of 3 different sizes. I'm using 3 sizes of holly cutters. There is a larger cutter for this set, but that was a bit too big, so I decided not to use that. And then also I've got here 3 sizes in hellebore cutters. The reason why I'm using 3 sizes is because instead of being a single one this time, because I have done a single one before, this time I'm going to do a double one. So we'll get started on with it now. All of these cutters, by the way, I have made a template which I'm uploading onto my website, so you can go onto my website and download that. So all you need to do is to click on it to enlarge it. Click on copy and save it as a picture, and then you can print it off on your printer. So I'll just get those out of the way. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do the petals. So I've got some white paste here. It's got a bit discoloured with kneading, but that doesn't matter because it does look white when it's done. I've got some of the double ones made up here, so I've got one here, and I'm just going to leave these as white. I'm not going to do anything else with them because I wanted to keep the colours simple on this rather than doing because there are a lot of colours in hellebores, but they can get quite complicated, some of them. So it's up to you what kind you do. I have got another video on there with single hellebore, so if you want to have a look at that, you can get an idea on that. But failing that, like I say, what I do is I go online on photographic signs like Shutterstock. I can't remember what the other ones are, but if you put in pictures of hellebores in your browser, then it'll bring up different sites where you can see the different colours of that particular flower. So I've rolled it out fairly thinly, and I'm using my ridge rolling pin. If you're not using a ridge rolling pin, then obviously use the grooved side of a grooved board. So I'm just gonna cut out one of each. And the reason why I'm going to do one of each for cutting this out is because each size is treated slightly differently. Mainly the small one, so that's why I'm doing more than one. Usually I just do one petal and leave it at that. Oops, that's turned over. Just put that to one side. Take my paste away. And get rid of that. So you only need a very thin wire because these petals are quite small, so you don't need anything too big, and a 28 gauge white wire is plenty big enough. So I'm just going to take one wire and I'm going to cut it into 4. So if you do that with all of your wires, depending on how many flowers you want to do, because there are 6 of each size of petal on your hellebores, so you want 6 of each of these sizes. What have I done with myself? There they are. So I'm going to cut this into 4. Make sure you don't cut your fingers. Right. So, first of all, I get the large one between my finger and thumb. Twist it into the base of your petal. Make sure you twist it so that the stem text that the wires are covered with doesn't come off. So that's onto there. the medium one. As I say, you want 6 of each of these. What I will do is on the template guide on the website, so whether you're downloading the templates or you're using cutters, you'll be able to go onto my website and see how many petals you want. I think a lot of them I have actually put the number of petals on. If I haven't, I apologise, but on any of these I'm going to try and put them all on. We'll just get that wire out of the way. So I'll get my yellow pad, which needs a good clean. It's very old, is this, so it's looking a bit tatty now. But I can't get hold of any more of these because they're not in existence anymore. So I don't know whether anybody else has got any like it. So I'm going to use my kneading ball tool, and like before, just roll it like you would if you were doing cold porcelain, for those of you that have had a go at cold porcelain. Now, if you haven't got any hellebore cutters, and you have got rose petal cutters, you can use those. But what I would do with your rose petal cutters is to turn your cutters upside down. So rather than using it the right way, the rounded part to the top, use it with the pointy part to the top. But there's nothing to say you can't do a rounded top hellebore, because like most flowers, there are lots of different variegations of them now with the interbreeding with flowers. Now there's so many different varieties, you can do what you want. So here I've got a hellebore cutter. The veining is, veinus rather. The veining is very fine on this, but you can use your veining tool to vein your petals if you haven't got one of these. So I'm just going to get that part. So I'm going to turn the ridge over into the back of the petal cutter like that. Put the top on. Now these are Alderval veiners. You can get these on eBay. So if you have a look on eBay, if you want to get the veiners, you can find them on there. There is a seller on there that does all of the full range of Alderval veiners. So do the others. Oh, done that wrong way around, sorry, got it upside down. There we are, it's better. And the last one. Make sure you put them up into the top. Doesn't matter if you can't get Alderval. I mean, any make will do, whichever, as long as it's a decent make. Don't go for too cheap a one, because sometimes they just don't work. Right, so that's them done. I have already got a load of petals already on here that I've already done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move those to one side for a minute and put my foam in front of you. And the first one I'm going to do is the small one, for the simple reason that with this one the petals curve inwards like that at the top. And then also make sure you curve it in at the bottom so that it goes round the centre of your stamens. Always, when anything that you're putting together like this, lilies or anything you put in with separate petals, do that. Then put that down into the bottom of the... Hang on, give your wire a little bit of a bend. Just reshape that. Sorry, I'm doing it off camera, aren't I? Reshape it in and at the bottom, and then that goes into the bottom of your dip there in your foam. Now with this one, all I'm going to do with this one is to bend the wire a little bit. So you get it between your finger and thumb and bend the wire up. Don't try and do it without, otherwise your paste will come off your wire. Shape it at the bottom like that, and then that goes into a dip like that. So they're all sort of cupped in. And then with the large one, do the same as you've just done with that one. Hang on, that's the right size. So give it a curve like that. Cup that at the bottom, then that goes into your foam and down into your dip like that. Okay, so you can put those to one side to dry now. Right, now then, the next part is I'm going to do the holly leaves. Now I've doing these slightly differently to the way I've done them before. I've noticed quite a few people started looking at the Christmas ones that I've done before, and quite a few people I've noticed this morning were looking at the holly. So I'm going to get enough paste out so I can cut both the holly and the mistletoe out with this paste. Now I'm doing these slightly differently, so you'll see why in a minute. So that if I show you one that I've already done, these have been coloured and varnished. You can see that I've got quite prominent spikes on them. Now, if you go and look at holly trees in the wild, if you've got any near you, because I've got a park that's got loads of holly trees in near me, you'll only find that the leaves at the base of the tree have got the spikes on. The leaves higher up don't have the spikes on. And the reason for that apparently is because with them growing in hedges, round fields and things like that, and apparently the holly grew spikes on it so the sheep couldn't eat it. Now I don't know how true that is, but it does make sense if the ones up at the top haven't got spikes on and the bottom ones have. So there's a bit of history for you. Right, I'm going to start rolling this out. Roll it out that way so that I can stretch it without it being too thin at the top and the bottom. Now obviously you don't want to go quite as thin as you did with the petals with this, so that's thin enough. You can tell if you run your fingers over it, if it's thick enough. And then I want my veining rolling pin. What have we done with it? Be hiding under something, especially since I've just had it. What have I done with it? Excuse me, I'm getting old. My brain is getting fuzzy. What the heck have I done with it? Just bear with me a second while I go and find it. Yes, it was right under my nose, and probably somebody saw it because it was off to the side here. Probably shouting at the screen, "It's beside you!" Right, so I'm going to roll my bridges up there, ready to cut out my leaves. And I'm just going to do one of each of the holly leaves. That's a large one. Medium one. If you look at the cutters, you'll see that the bottom part here is rounded and the top part is pointed, so that tells you which way up your leaf goes, which I suppose is a little bit difficult when you're looking at them when they've all got spikes on it. You think which is the top and which is the bottom. But the way that I'm doing it, really you can tell. I'm only doing two sizes in the mistletoe leaves, so I'm just doing the small and the medium. So try and get your ridge as near as you can up the middle of the cutter, like that. And that. So depending on how much of your how big you want your holly and your mistletoe to be will depend on how many leaves you cut out. But don't forget, cut them in pairs. They do grow in pairs. So whatever sizes you cut two of each for each pair of leaves you've got. And I've picked a bit of black up on there because I tried to print out using my cutters with the for the templates online, and unfortunately it didn't work very well. I had to go over it with a pen again, but I have done it so that you can see them and you can cut them out. If you can't cut all the way around there, what you need to do is to find something that's round, end of a piping nozzle or whatever, and just do a leaf shape, straight leaf shape, and then just cut out little rounds like that. Right, so I want some 28 gauge wires for my leaves. Oops, I don't need that many because I've only got 5 leaves here. So I'm going to cut those into 4. You could probably cut them into 6 if you wanted to. They don't need to be particularly long. And as I've said before, these are florist scissors, not normal scissors. So don't use your good scissors to cut your wires. I just found these were better than wire cutters actually. For some reason with these thin wires, the wire cutter's not very good for cutting your wires. Right, again, between your finger and your thumb, twist your wire into the bottom and feel it go up your leaf. And if it comes out, just pull it back and go back in again. So that's 1. Where's my ridge? Oh, there it is. Gone slightly offside there, so I'm going to have to improvise a bit with this. Leaves are a bit better if you can't see your ridge. You can actually get a wire into them without a ridge. I have done that before today, but that takes practice, so if you're not practiced, then I mean, you can after time. It's like everything else, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So that's the wires on those, and then we'll get the wires onto the mistletoe, then I'll get onto veining them. Just try to make sure you get it round and not go out the side so you can see it with it having a curve on it. Try not to straighten it up either. My ridge is not very good to go on this particular one, so I'm going to have to improvise a little bit here. I suppose you could put a slight curve on your wire so that you can go around the leaf with this. There we are. So that's those done. Put those wires to one side. You don't need those. Now then, I have used this before. If you buy sweet corn, try and buy it with the husk on it, because it comes in so handy for doing things like mistletoe and anything that's got straight veins on it like this. You can buy the leaf veiner type ones, but what's the point in buying that when this is free? So what I've done with this, because I can't find another piece of it, just put it in like that, fold it over, give it a good press like that, and that's veined. If you were doing grasses or something like that, you could use this method as well. Anything that's sort of straight veins like this. There we are. That's that one done. So I'll put that to one side. Now I have got some holly veiners here. These are actually from Great Impression, so if you shop with anybody that's got Squire's Kitchen products in, they own Great Impression veiners, so they'll probably do them. If they haven't got them, see if they can get them. But there are other veiners around as well on the market, so it's a matter of which you find is the best. So the large one I'm going to put into the larger veiner. Now missed a point out. I'm not thinning the edges on these for the simple reason that what I'm going to do is, I've forgotten it. I was going to do it the old way that I usually do it. Oops, put them onto there like that. And if you get your Dresden tool, which is, when I find it, what have I done with it? There it is. It's hiding under the rolling pin. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, where you've got your points here on your leaves, just get your Dresden tool in and just pull it out, stretch it out a bit. Now this makes it easier for pinching the edges to make them like the sharp spikes you get on your holly. Same on the top. You can see where I picked some of the black up on me cutters. I thought I'd clean them off, but obviously I haven't got it all off. So that's one. You don't need to stretch it a long way, just make it, elongate it a bit. Anybody that's been doing flowers know along there's very few cutters where you can actually do a flower without having to do something with it after you've cut it out to change the shape. The cutters give you a basic shape to work with, then the rest is what you do with it afterwards. So that's that one done. They do look a bit odd at this particular stage, but it'll become clear in a minute. There we are. That's that. Now if you've got big fingers like me, especially when you're doing a small one like, it's slightly easier to get in. Get close to the top of your leaf so you can get in. And just pinch those points. So you've got quite a sharp point on it. Same with the top one as well. Curl that one in a little bit. Give that a bit more of a pinch. That one. Sometimes they curl in a bit, so you've just got to play about with them a little bit. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Or you've got a bit of a sharper point now. You'll be able to see it. Oh, I'll do the big one now. I'm not going to do them all because you're going to get bored with it. And my videos are long enough as it is. Because I do everything in real time so people can follow me as if they would do in a classroom. Because obviously when I was teaching in college, this is what they would see, the whole thing. But I do it like this, just do one at a time and have some ready-made. Obviously you have to do your Blue Peter bit, for those in the UK that know what Blue Peter is. For those not in the UK, Blue Peter is a children's programme on BBC with crafts and things like that, and they have all the bits and pieces ready. So this is one I did earlier, so I'm sure that rings a bell. Right, so that's it. So you've got your points on it. I'm not going to bother with that one. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put them into video. So into the, oh god, I'm going gaga today. The ridge goes into your groove in your veiner, and then put your top on like that and give it a good press. And then just shape your leaf. The good thing about some of these veiners, they do shape your leaves to a certain extent, so you can follow the shaping in it. I'll just do that one as well. Do that in the smaller one. I'm not sure whether these come in a set of 3, they might do, and I might have lost one because I've so much equipment. Things do get moved around when I'm doing videos, so... That was my dog barking, by the way. He's heard something outside and he has to say something. So there we are. So that's both of those done. So what you do then is, obviously, that's going to go into your foam, into your groove like that. Keep that in shape and leave those to dry. Oops, sorry. There we are, into you. So that's those out of the way. And then also, as well, hang on, we'll just get that foam back. I've got my mistletoe leaves. Now they are quite flat, and mistletoe leaves, but I tend to like to give them a little bit of a shape anyway, rather than having them totally flat. Because like I've said before, with some things in nature that where they are flat, if you do that in sugar, it just doesn't look right. So if you just give them a little bit of a shape like that, then put them in the phone and leave them to dry. So the next thing to do then is the centre of your hellebore. And I'm just using white cotton here. I'm not going to do anything with the for the colour of it or anything like that. I'm just going to do this with pollen and the cotton. So what I did there was I wound cotton round my 3 fingers 50 times, and then I tied wires onto them. So I put 3 wires in at 3 different points. Then you bring your wires together, cut in between. I have done this in other videos, I've done it so many times. So if you're not sure, find one of my other videos, either poppies or, I'm just trying to think what else I've done. Anything that I've got a lot of veiners, a lot of stamens in the middle, I tend to use this method because it's cheaper than buying ready-made stamens and much easier. So what you need to do is you need to level those off. So what you do is just get them together between your finger like that and get some sharp scissors. These are nail scissors I'm using here. And just clip the tops off just to make, and just go around it. Think about a hairdresser cutting hair, it's using the same method. Got that together, right. So I'm going to use some Nile green tape, which is a lighter tape out of the green tapes. Pull the end to make sure you've got your sticky end and turn that over so that you've got that towards your wire. Round onto your wire like that. Nip it in with your thumb. Start to twist it between your finger and thumb, and then push it up underneath your cotton, and then bring the cotton up between your finger and thumb and bring the tape up an angle and twist again. It takes a bit of practice, it doesn't always work the first time, even for me, so just take your time with it like that. Once you know you've got it there, then come back down again. So you've got the base of the cotton together, and what that does, it pulls it all together into a bunch like that. Then tape down to the bottom. Now you can check your tops again to make sure to see if they're level again. It doesn't have to be perfect, because there's nothing perfect in nature. And the next thing I always have in my workroom is some hairspray. A good firm, you want a strong hold hairspray. And then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to spray the cotton all round like that and over the top. Now I'm not going to open this out like I've done with some of the others, because the centres in these are quite tight. So I'm just going to leave that as it is. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some pollen on. So I've got some yellow pollen here made up. I don't buy it, I make it. No point in spending loads of money on things when you can make it yourself for a lot less. All it is either ground rice or semolina mixed with the desired colour that you want to use, powder colour. So all you do is just put it into a tub or whatever you're using. Put your powder colour into it, only a tiny bit. Give it a good shake. If it's not dark enough, add a little bit more. And then, when you've done that, you've got your pollen already, because of the commercial bought pollen, that's all it is. So there you are. Instead of spending £2 odd or whatever it is on a tub of pollen, you can make it for pennies. So I'm just going to go over the top with my glue like that, just catching the top of the cotton, and then down into your pollen like that. Just catch some on the side there, some on that side. There we are. Doesn't matter if you haven't caught them all. And then you can pop that to one side to dry. And that's those ready. Now while I'm waiting for that to dry off a little bit, because I'm going to use that one. Where's my lid? There it is. We need to make some holly berries and some mistletoe berries. So I've got some white paste here, and somewhere I should have some, there it is. I've got some red paste made up. Mistletoe berries are not white, so the fact that this has got a bit discoloured because of the grease from your hand, because when you're handling any kind of flour paste, that's what happens with it. It does go, and this flexible paste that I'm using isn't pure white anyway. If you want pure white, you need to add some extra white powder into it when you're making it, to make it whiter. If you're going to do a white flour that you want to be white, then that's a good thing to do. All the berries is a fine wire. Just cut one of these in half because I don't want to be too long. Just bend the wire over so you've got a tiny little hook on the top, like you would if you were doing a rose, but you need it a lot smaller than doing the centre of a rose. Small amount of paste. This is red. Now this is being coloured with Sugar Flare Red Extra. So I'll get the tub over, and that's the tub. That's the Red Extra from Sugar Flare. It's the only one round I've found. I mean, it's quite expensive. I don't know what it is now, but it was about £6.20 to buy one of these. But I mean, if you're doing anything in red, and if you're doing a red velvet cake, by the way, use this. It's the only thing that comes out. A lot of the reds come out more orange. That's why you don't use them. You can get it darker than this by putting more in, but I didn't want to go too dark with it. I'm just going to do one berry of each. So we'll get a bit of the white paste, roll that into a ball. And all you're going to do with each of these is get your wire down into your berry in the centre, like that. Pull the hook in and leave just the top of the hook showing. That's the bit where the flower part has fallen off. I don't know what the flowers are like on mistletoe, but I do know on holly because I've got a couple of standard hollies in my front garden, which don't have spikes on the leaves, by the way, because the standard ones, they're up off the ground, so it's grown the flat leaves without the spikes. But as we know, when you're doing things for Christmas, holly looks better with the spikes on because that's more how people recognise it. And mine's got loads of berries on it. Although the holly in the park hasn't got any berries on it. I don't know what's happened to that. Used to get loads of berries on at one time, but they're not getting it at the moment. Right, so that's done. So just pop those to one side and leave those to dry. We'll just put those pastes away. Put those all in a bag. And then what you need to do then is you want to shine on your berries. I have got some that are dried. So what I've got here is some leaf glaze. I'm just going to put a little bit in the cap there. I've spilt some. Just bear with me a second. Get my trusty kitchen roll, which you should always have by the side of you. Let's get rid of that. That's it. That's gone. And then if you just get your berries, I've already done all my mistletoe ones, but I've left one holly berry left to do. So just pop it into your glaze like that. Tap it on the side to get rid of your excess, and then put that to one side to dry. So that can dry while I'm doing the rest of it. So I'm just going to put that back into there. I'm going to leave the glaze out because I need to do colour and glaze the leaves. So I've got some paper here with the colours on that I've used for the leaves, and I've used two different greens for the leaves. I've used Spring Green from Edible Art, that's that one, and I've used Rainforest Green, which is a very dark green, for the holly leaves. You need it as dark as possible because they're very dark are the leaves on holly. So are they the... No, they're not the dried ones. Where are they? Yeah, I've got some... Oh, there they are. I've just left a couple of large holly leaves to dust that have dried. So I've got my green brush here somewhere. There we are. Get a bit of the forest green. And then give your leaves a good dust all over. The spikes show up more once you get your dust on, like this. You can see that now. And then turn it over and just give it a waft over the back. The back of any leaf, it doesn't matter how dark it is, tend to be a lot lighter than the front. But always give them a waft over with the same colour. You don't want a different colour. It's got to look as though it matches. Turn it over and give it a waft over the back. And just reshape your leaf. I love this flexible paste for that reason. These have been made a couple of days, and look, I can still reshape them if they've gone out of shape when I'm dusting them. It's absolutely brilliant, and it really gets me excited. I'm getting as bad as James Martin doing his cooking, aren't I? Right, I'll just leave that out because I need that for the mistletoe leaves, and I have got one somewhere to... There it is. I've left one out. I've just left a small one out, and the colour I'm using for that, as I say, is the spring green. So into the spring green and dust that all over, and then again turn it over and dust the back. Now with this one I'm not going to varnish the mistletoe leaves because they are quite dull. Now what you can do with those is to steam them to set your colour and leave it to dry and do it that way. You can mix the leaf glaze with the isopropyl glaze cleaner, but it's just as easy to steam it rather than mixing that up and doing it that way. So I'm just going to glaze the leaves on these. I have a brush that I've used for it somewhere here. What have I done with it? There it is. So I've got my leaf glaze here, and just glaze your leaves. I've managed to do this with one coat. You might find, it depends on the leaf glaze you're using and how strong it is, whether you need to give it another coat, but mine have come out quite well with this. So then we can put those to one side to dry now. And don't forget to clean your brush when you've done that, because otherwise you'll have stiff brushes and you won't be able to use it again. So give it a good waft in your isopropyl. I keep saying I'm going to have to put some clean in it because I've been using this for yonks. But I don't throw it away, I use it for all the cleaning because that's all I use it for. Rather than keep wasting your leaf glaze. And then if you just wipe it on some kitchen roll to get rid of the colour off of it. We can put that away because we don't need that anymore. Put the top on my leaf glaze and put that away. That can go up there with the other ones, and we'll get rid of these, and then I can start assembling the hellebores. Now, as I say, if you want a different coloured hellebore, you can do that. I have got one on hellebores on my channel already, so if you go into the I'm just trying to think what they call it now, into the list where my things are. Usually some of them do come up at the side with some of the videos, but you can go into it. And don't forget to go to my website, my new website. It's terrificcakedesign.uk, all one word, www.terrificcakedesign.uk, and you'll see that some of the flowers I've put on there, and also there's a separate page with all the templates on so that you can have a go at doing these. The last couple of videos that I did, I've used the templates in there, so if you want to go and watch those, you can see how I made the how I used the templates to cut out the petals. Right, so I'll get this over now. We can start putting this together now. So I want my centre, and I'm using the Nile green to put this one together. Oops, nearly dropped it then. Don't forget, if you've got any questions about anything, please do leave a message for me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you're not already subscribing to my channel, then please subscribe. It's free to subscribe, and you'll get notified when I upload new videos then, so you can be the first to see them. Right, so we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the small petals there. We've got 6 of the large ones. If you get them all ready together, and then you can just assemble everything. You could, before you start, which is probably a good idea when you're doing it yourself at home, if you get all your petals, get hold of it between your finger and your thumb like that and bend your wires down so that they're all ready to go in. It makes the job a lot easier. And the advantage, I say, with this flexible paste, if you bend anything out of shape, you can reshape it back again while it's soft. So it does stay soft for a long time. I love this. I had a lady sent me a message yesterday, I think it was, and she used to make sugar flowers and send them by post for people to buy, and she had to stop doing it because all the flowers were getting broken, and she was having to refund the money. And she was just about to sign up for a course that was going to cost her £500. And this is the problem with a lot of people doing these courses. They charge an awful lot of money for doing these courses when you could either go to your local college. I've no disrespect for people making a business out of it, but I just think that I get a big kick out of people learning from me. And I mean, as I taught at college courses are a lot cheaper. If you've got a good college course at your local college, then you can go there, or just watch my videos. Not everybody posts as many videos as I do, so I've got 100 odd different videos on YouTube now, so there's plenty of flowers for you to see. And I'm getting short of ideas, people. This one was suggested, and that gave me the idea for next video, because I was getting what can you call it, mind block or whatever you call it, trying to think of something new to do. So please people, if there's anything you want to see me do, leave me a message and let me know, and I will try and do it. There are one or two things that I haven't done yet, but I will get round to them. Have I got 6 there? 1, 2, 3. I think I might have made more petals of one of these sizes than I needed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think I've got an extra one there, which is good because if a petal falls off a wire or anything like that, then I've got a spare one to fall back on, haven't I? Right. So now that I've done that, I can start by putting in the small petals. These do go quite close in to the centre. And as you get on to the next layers, they open out a bit more. Sorry, I've gone off camera again, haven't I? Look, I'm doing it again. I forget to look up at the camera because I can't see what I'm doing on camera when I'm watching what I'm doing down here. So I apologise for that, but I have got back on camera so you can see what I'm doing. Keep your tape right up underneath your petals. I'm going to have to cross over with these behind because these are so small. I can go in there like that. I can go across there. You can adjust your petals once you've got them in. And that can go in there. The larger petals are a bit easier to see what you're doing. So once you've got them all in, tape down a bit and then just get your wires and just pull them in and make sure they're nice and tight in. Like that. And tape down a bit further. That holds them all together, and it also gives your next layer of petals something to grip onto when you tape them in. So then we go back up to the top, bring your tape up right underneath your petals like that, and straighten back out again. And then we want the next size, which is this one. So you try and cross over between the petal you've done before, the same as you do when you're doing roses or anything else. Be nice to hear back from some of you if you can let me know how you're getting on with your flowers. Some people do. I've got an odd few that do write comments and tell me how they've enjoyed the video, and but it'd be nice to be able to see what people are doing when they've if they've actually done it. My email address is on the website, so if you wanted to send me a picture of your flowers, you could do it that way. It'd be really nice to see how you're getting on. Also, as well, I mean, if you've got a problem, you could do that as well. You could send me a picture of what it is you're doing. If there's something gone wrong with it, then I can have a look at it and tell you better how to correct it. You can just adjust your petals round. And if you want to open them up, you get something sharp, just get in between your petals and just bend them back. So tape down again, take that off. Start your tape off again underneath your last layer, like that. And then we put in the larger petals now. Again, crossing over between, or cross over two petals. Sometimes they move around like that one's just done. It didn't stay where it was supposed to stay. There we are. If you're going to do any colour, then dust your petals before you put them in. That's the easiest way of doing it, rather than trying to do it afterwards. The only reason I'm not doing colour is because there's quite a lot to do in this video. We're doing so many different elements, and it's easy to keep it simple and plain. Last petal going in. Not bothering with the calyx on this because it's going to go in a spray. You won't see the back of it anyway, so I'm not going to bother with that. And I haven't got any hellebores out in the garden yet. I've got buds on them, but I haven't got any flowers yet to have a look at them to see whether I'm doing it right. It's always a good idea if you can get hold of a real flower to have a look at it to see how it looks and copy that. Right, so I've taped down to the bottom with that, so that's all of that. And if you want to, as I say, you can open them out a little bit. Make sure you get your fingers right in where your wire is, so that the wire doesn't come through your paste. Just open that out. Right, so that's that bit done. So I've done 3 of those flowers for this spray. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the holly and the mistletoe together. And for this I'm using some dark green tape. Did I use the dark green on the... Yes I did. That's a sprig of mistletoe that I've already done. I'm just going to do 1 sprig of mistletoe and a couple of sprigs of holly. So you need a thicker wire to put this onto now for the holly. So I'm going to use 22 gauge wire. And I'm going to cut that into 3. Where's my scissors gone again? There. I'm just going to use one of those pieces, but obviously because I'm doing a full wire I have to cut it into 3. I should really label what I've cut so that I know what I've done. So stretch your wire, get it started on your wire, just pull that up right, wants to go right to the top, and then you get your smallest leaves in, and you want 2 leaves in facing each other. One in that side, one in the other side. Tape down a little bit. Probably gone about 1 inch down before I put the next ones in. You can just open that out a little bit, like that. They don't want to open out too much at the top. Your next lot of leaves in further down open out more. Right, so we've got Now that goes in at the side where those two are going that way. This one's going to go this way. So that's one in, one at the other side. And tape down about another inch. And what I haven't done here is got some of my berries ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these berries into threes. They don't all have to be at the same level either. Sometimes they look a bit better like that, a bit haphazard. Just get another piece of tape out. And tape that down. That's those, and I've got another 3 berries here I'm going to put into another group. You don't have to make all your sprays the same either. There's nothing perfect. If you went out looking for holly, you're not going to find them all branches the same with even numbers of berries on it. So think about that when you're making a spray up. These things are very haphazard, so that's how I like to do them. Just makes them look a bit more natural. So just get rid of that green tape there. Go back to this one. So you can open those 2 leaves out that way. I always find leaves are better to put in straight like that rather than bending them like I do with the petals, because of the way that they go. So I'll put in 2 larger leaves here. As I say, if your leaves have got a bit flat, you can reshape them once you get them in with this flexible tape paste. It's brilliant for that. And like I said with that lady with the sugar flowers, if she starts doing this, she'll be able to get back to doing her flowers online like she did for people, and know that her flowers are going to get there in one piece. Still have to pack them the same as you would with anything else, with something like foam chips or something like that to keep them from. Now I'm going to just pull those in to make sure those are nice and tight in. Just check all your leaves and make sure they're tight in, because they do go right down to the stem. And then there I'm going to put in a bunch of berries. Go down a bit further. Just bring those leaves back around that way. Put in another couple of larger leaves. Pull those down. Oops. Open the leaves out. Then I'm going to put another bunch of berries in there. And tape down. Right, so that's those done. That's my holly ready. I've got a spare leaf there. And we'll do the mistletoe. So I want another. Where's that wire? There it is. Can be quite soothing, this. Some of my students have always said they like to lock themselves away in a room on their own, away from the family, and do something for themselves, and they really enjoy doing it. I'll put one in there like that, and one in like that, starting again in doubles. They all come in twos, these. Make sure you pull them in so they're nice and tight. Tape down a bit further, about an inchish, something like that. And then I've got some slightly larger leaves here. And again, doing like you do with the holly, alternating them. And tape down. Just going to take that off and come back up to there because I'm going to put some berries in there. So I'm just open those leaves out. That side, like that. Put those out a little bit more. Get my other piece of tape. They are a bit sort of creamy coloured, are these berries, so because I've dipped them into the leaf glaze, which is sort of a browny colour, it's sort of giving them that sort of creamy look. Yet to find any that are pure white. I think I've got my tape the wrong way around. Again, they don't have to be all evenly placed. Tape down with that. Let's get another bunch. Where's that gone? Oh, it's there in my hand. It stuck to my finger. Did the glaze? It's still a little bit tacky. Which is not too bad, because once you get them in, they're going to stick together anyway. It doesn't matter. Not as though you need to separate them and they're going to damage or anything. Just tape down with that. So we'll put that bunch in there. And tape down. And then put another couple of leaves in. There. Lower down. That one in that way. Just make sure you get them the right way, so when you've curved your leaves you get them the right way around. And open them out. And I'm going to put some more berries in there. And we'll put them on that side. Like that. You could put more leaves on if you want. I've done all the sizes for the templates. I haven't put any of the very large ones in, but you could if you wanted to. Now I've got another sprig here, a short sprig with just a couple of berries in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now tape that into there. So it's not going to be just a straight sprig of berries. There we are. So that's those together. You can bend that out a little bit more if you want. So that's the mistletoe ready. So I'm going to get all my bits and pieces over now, all my holly. I've got one here. I've just put one group of berries in that one and 2 in that one. So I've got 3 odd bits here. Now, what you can do when you're making a spray like this is to start off with, it's only going to be a small spray, so you can start off by bending these leaves out, whichever way it looks better. It shows off your berries, like that, and then get your mistletoe and do the same thing with that. Now I'm leaving a bit of a gap here because you want to have room for your flowers to go in. So I'm now going to get some full width tape and then I'm going to start to put these in. So I'm just going to have one sprig of, you can put as much as you want in. It depends how much you want to put in your spray. But if you are making it for somebody else and you're charging them, think about that. Because the more you put in, the more you have to charge. There's a lot of people that do things from home that just do not charge enough. And the excuse I used to get from my students was, well, I'm not a professional like you. You know, that's got nothing to do with it. It's still a skill. And you're not going to be professional until you've done a few anyway. I'm just going to tape down with this just to hold these together, stop them from moving round. So I've got another piece of holly to put in here, so I'm just going to so they'll stay put then. And if I start, I'll just bring those up a little bit while I do this, just so I can get underneath there. And put in the other piece of holly. Doesn't matter if it doesn't sit exactly where you want it to do to start off with. You can adjust that once you've got all these all taped together. You have to excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Happens when I talk a lot. Right, so once that's done that, I can bring that piece of holly round there like that. So I've now got the framework ready, and as I say, you can bend those up a little bit to get your flowers in. So get your tape started again underneath there. Another thing to remember, if you're putting these on a cake to pick to put them in, don't just stick them in your cake. You can't do that. You should get the flowers out. Right, so I'll put one in there. I'm just going to bend that out a little bit. Just pull that up a bit and bend it out a little bit more. That's better. Bring that back round there. That out a bit, put that in between there. Got my tape in the way there. That's it. Tape round. You can adjust things once you get them all in. And then we've got another one to go in just there. That's it. You knock a leaf down, bend it down, right, like you can put it back in place once you've got all your spray tape together and tape down. and take the tape off. I've got a bit of wire there that I don't need that's too long, so we'll just take that off. That's it. And so then you can get into your different components and you just adjust your leaves around to get it as you want. And there we are. A spray for a Christmas cake with holly, hellebores and some mistletoe. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you soon. So take care, stay safe, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your comments in the section below. See you soon.